So when I voted for the government to cut all the waste, fraud, and abuse, I didn't know they meant me.
Why, oh why do poor white people vote against themselves time and time again? They vote for Trump and the other MAGA politicians only to have every promise broken, prices go up, social supports evaporate. Here's why. First, remember what I talked about recently, the psychological wage of whiteness. That term was coined by W.E. Du Bois to describe poor white folks being paid with social status rather than decent living conditions. They're convinced by the elites that they're better than black folks, better than immigrants, Latinos, LGBTQ folks. They're convinced that being white puts them in the same league as the elites. Of course, the elites know otherwise, but the poor whites buy it because they're grasping at straws. Second, they are convinced that the people they're supposedly better than are the big threat in their lives. Not the rich, not the corporations or the politicians, but immigrants, black folks, welfare queens, LGBTQ, criminals, you know, the usual scapegoats. Third, the elites promise protection to poor white folks. A politician comes along and says, I'll keep those people in their place, or I'll kick them out, or I'll lock them up. Or, more politely, I'll defend your values. They don't say, I'll make your life better. Well, they say it, they just don't mean it. They'll say, I'll make sure they don't get ahead of you. Fourth, they vote for the punishment, not the policy. When a law gets passed that slashes public housing or school funding or food aid, they think, good, that'll stop those lazy freeloaders. And they do some mental gymnastics that make them believe it's worth losing those things for their own families in order to see those problematic black people and immigrants and so forth being punished. It gets to a point where just seeing those guys being punished is reward enough, which is pretty sick, but that's how behavior works. Their housing, schools, and groceries are on the chopping block too, but they blame that on Biden. Always a scapegoat. They get hit by the same policies they were told would punish the others, and they blame the wrong people. The system fails them, but they've been trained to blame the scapegoats, not the cause, which is the rich people, the people they voted for. So they think the problem is still those people, not the fact that they were personally manipulated by the people they voted for. They're basically saying, I'll take the hit as long as you don't help them, or worse, as long as you hurt them. That is the psychological wage Du Bois was talking about, the trade-off between material security for racial status.
Wagwan family, welcome back to my YouTube space. Man, if you like this video, hit the like button and share it to the people you think they might want to hear my commentary, because today I'm talking something here. First of all, I thank you for showing up, because every time you choose to listen to my message, you are not just entertaining yourself, but you are feeding your mind, and that's what we want. So today's message is something strong, and this one is going to shake the room, and you will agree with me. God has answered the prayers of black people, and he did it through DTJ. He did it through DJT. God of black people has answered black people prayers, and he have done it through DJT, Donald J. Trump. And how? That's what we're gonna do. How? Because I'll say this, Trump policies, the one he proudly sold to his base as a way to make America great again, are now punishing the very people who voted for him, are now punishing the very people who voted him into the office. And in the process, they are revealing something powerful. They are coming out here making video and revealing something powerful. The suffering that black people have been crying out about for generations is now landing at the doorsteps of white America. You get me? It's now doing that. For years, When black people spoke about injustice, when black people spoke about the broken system, when we spoke about being left behind, most of America turned deaf ear. The white farmers turned deaf, and we were told to stop complaining. We were told to work harder. We were told it was our fault as black people. But family, now those same white people are crying about the very same problems that black people tried to share. And that's why I say with no apology that I see God's hands in this, because sometimes the only way to break arrogance is to let the proud feel the pain they refuse to acknowledge. Before I go down to my commentary, because I have a lot to say, I want you to listen to these clips of white America. They are revealing out some things strong, and then we'll come back with more commentary.
This is my impression of a Trump voter who is on food stamps. Here it is. So I have 5 kids, and I voted for Trump because I agreed with everything he was saying. I thought we should cut the waste from the government. But I get $2,800 a month for food stamps for my children, and he just cut it back. All the cuts he made in the big beautiful bill cut my food stamps down to $350 a month. How am I supposed to feed 5 kids on $350 a month? I can't really work because I have 5 kids and my husband is gone. So I have to stay home and raise all these kids, and the government was giving me money. So when I voted for the government to cut all the waste, fraud, and abuse, I didn't know they meant me. Here's the paper that proves they cut my food stamps.
My whole house is on Medicaid. My husband, me, our baby daughter. Okay, we're all on Medicaid. Without Medicaid, I wouldn't be able to have the birth control in my arm that I have. Without Medicaid, I wouldn't be able to have the antidepressants that I have at no cost to me. Without Medicaid, I wouldn't be able to go to therapy to continue to be the mom I am to the 3 kids and 2 separate houses that I have to do. Without Medicaid, my daughter wouldn't be able to go and get her vaccines and go and get all of the things that she needs as an 18-month-old baby. Without Medicaid, my husband wouldn't be able to go and get the medications that he needs and the treatment that he needs for his disability. Without Medicaid, not a single person in my house would have health care. We are low income. Our only income is my husband's SSI. We're on food stamps. We use food pantries. Okay? Without Medicaid, we would never be healthy. And for us, it's not even like body, it's all mental. For my husband, for me, and then we have a baby who needs Medicaid for vaccines, who needs Medicaid for, I already have 2 children who are diagnosed with autism. So what if she ends up getting diagnosed with autism? We need Medicaid. We need Medicaid. And if you live in America, everybody deserves free healthcare. That's it. I just love you. Have a good day.
If someone you know or you depend on food stamps, pay close attention. Major changes are coming under Trump's big beautiful bill. Let me break down what's changing, when it starts, and how it could affect your SNAP benefits. Now here's the timeline. October 1st, 2026, state will begin tightening SNAP eligibility. That means stricter income checks, faster recertification, and more documentation just to stay qualified. Now on December 31st, 2026, the new work rule begins. If you're 19 to 64 and don't have a documented disability, you will need to work, volunteer, or be in some type of job training at least 80 hours per month to keep your benefits. This applies to parents of school-aged children. Unless you have a baby or a toddler at home or some type of medical exemption, you will be expected to meet those work requirements too. Now, October 1st, 2027, states that make too many mistakes managing the SNAP program will face financial penalties. For example, New York had one of the highest error rates in 2023. Under the new law, they could be forced to repay up to 15% of program costs, which could result in title enforcement for everyone. This isn't to scare you, it's to prepare you. If you're able-bodied, now is the time to plan ahead. These changes are real. They are coming. Stay tuned. Like, follow, share for the next updates. I will definitely keep you guys informed.
This is the first month I won't be able to afford rent. I'm not a rich person. I don't have a lot of stuff. I have basic household necessities, a couch, a bed, washer, a dryer. That's about it. A car. I don't have a lot of lavish things. I don't go on vacations, and I don't spend a lot. Rent's increased from $1,300 to $1,800. The food prices are too high. I've cut back on eating because I literally cannot afford food. I've cut back on my favorite snacks, cat food, treats. I'm exhausted all the time from being overworked and underpaid. You don't catch a break when you grow up poor. I don't need much to be happy. I just want to be able to live comfortable. I just really need to catch a break right now. I'm trying so hard and I feel like I'm not doing enough. I don't have family. I don't have anything to fall back.
I am so tired of feeling helpless as a parent. Yes, my kids are grown adults. My oldest is 28, my youngest is 25. And I thought by teaching them what I learned, which is you work hard, you get a good job, you're going to get the things in life that you need, right? Worked for me, why wouldn't it work for them? Because it doesn't. Because the world has fucking changed, all right? And now I feel like I see them struggling. And before my generation comes at me, yes, I understand struggling is a part of life. We all struggled. But there's a difference between struggling and drowning, all right? So we struggled and it was tough, but you know what? We made it. We knew there was a light at the end of the tunnel with our struggle. It seems like kids today, no matter how much they struggle, they just get further and further down the water into the drowning point, all right? When I was their age, I was making less than $10 an hour, and I could afford to live on my own. Now you have to be making six-figure salary to get a decent, tiny little place to live. So what the fuck is going on, and how do we help them as parents? I told my son, all you have to do is work hard, go to college, or join the military like I did. He went to college, got his degree, got a full-time job. He moved back in with me right when he graduated from college because he said, hey, Mom, as soon as I get a job, which was within 2 weeks of him getting out of college, maybe take me 2 months and I'll save up enough money for me to move out. Okay, cool. It's been 10 months. He has saved almost every dime and still can't afford to live. Why are one-bedroom studio apartments almost $2,000 a month? Why? Like, I just don't get it. So I don't even think that there's even classes anymore. There used to be, upper class, middle class, lower class. It's literally turning into the ultra wealthy and then everybody else is just poor. Like, that's what is happening. And then I told him, hey, when you turn 25, at least your car insurance will go down. Hell no, he turned 25 and his car insurance went up $150. I tell him, if you need health insurance, get a good job. He has health insurance. He has had a medical emergency this week. Had to go to emergency room twice. He had to go to the emergency room because he couldn't get anybody to see him with the health insurance that he had, right? So he had to go to an emergency room. Now he's out money for that too. It seems like you can never get ahead. And then my daughter, I told her all you have to do because she wanted to buy her own house. My daughter worked 6 days a week, 12 hours a day to save up enough for this down payment. Finally got this house. She's paying double what I'm paying for my mortgage, but her loan was the same amount. And then her mortgage company, after she's already moved in, said, oh, by the way, we forgot to tell you that you need this type of coverage, which we forgot at the beginning. That's an extra $200 you've been paying a month. And all they see when they come home is they watch social media, kids their age, on lavish vacations with all this money and nothing to do, all these social media influencers, because we value those types of things over hard workers. We will pay them $10,000, but you work 40 hours a week, you can't afford it.
Welcome back. First of all, this is something I call the historic pattern. And it is an historic pattern of ignored warnings. I'll say this. Let me hold this. When we go back in time, because none of this is new. When you go back in time, America has a long history of ignoring black warnings until it is too late. Let me start with the civil rights era. In 1960s, when Dr. Martin Luther King was alive, his message was just clear. It wasn't just about racial harmony. He was talking about poverty, he was talking about economic, he was talking about justice, he was talking about fair wages, he was talking about healthcare access and investment in struggling communities. And he marched not only for voting rights, but for the Poor People's Campaign, an effort to unite poor black, white, and brown people against economic exploitation. But something happened. He was trying to march for poor white people, poor brown people, poor black people. Something happened where white America supported civil rights just enough to feel morally clean. But when King spoke about wealth equality or wealth inequality, suddenly they called him a troublemaker. You understood that? Poor white Americans were told that King was only fighting for black people, when in reality he was fighting for them too. In reality, King Martin Luther King was fighting for every poor person in America. He was not fighting only for black people. He was fighting for poor white people. He was fighting for poor brown people. But they ignored him. And I always tell my white brothers and sisters, the working class, I always tell them, even you are being brainwashed by the system. It's high time you know this. And I'm happy a lot of them are starting to know this. They were told that King was fighting for black people alone. So they ignored him. And by the time they felt the effects of economic policies that favored the rich, it was too late. Right now they are saying policies that is favoring the rich only. We are still back to history. The war on drugs. To the 1980s, crack cocaine hit black communities hard. And instead of compassion, instead of rehabilitation programs, instead of health care, America's answer to this was war on drugs. That meant militarized policing. That meant mandatory minimum sentences, mass incarceration, and etc., etc. White America, for the most part, cheered it on. They said lock them up. They said they are criminals. They said a number of things, that they are dangerous. But now, drugs addiction has spread like wildfire. When you look in rural white community, it has spread. And suddenly the national conservation is about compassion, treatment, about healthcare, rehabilitation. The same people who supported lock them up, the same people who were never on black people's side, now demand help. So I am saying this pattern. Every time black people sound alarm, it's being ignored till it touches them. And now, under Trump policy or under Trump administration, wow, that circle has come full again. Full moon. Now, I told you I love history. Now we are from history. Fast forward up to now. Trump promises, and the reality is something different. DJT ran for president as a savior, and he was of saving America. He was of saving America. He was of saving white people. He was of bringing back American jobs to the Americans. And white working class America, he spoke directly to rural town, to farmers, to factories, workers. And he told them that the system has betrayed them and he alone could fix it. Let me tell you what he promised, if I can remember well. I know we all remember. He promised to bring back manufacturing jobs from overseas. He promised to protect American farmers, improve health care for everyone, secure borders to protect American workers from immigrants' competition. He promised to lower taxes for working families. Now, what is actually happening? Reality is that trade wars destroyed farming. DJT trade war with China crushed Americans' agriculture. When he slapped tariffs on the Chinese goods, China responded by slapping tariffs on American soybeans, pork, and other exports. And farmers lost their biggest markets overnight. That's what happened. When we see in lower Minnesota and Wisconsin, I think Wisconsin, tell me that name correctly. In these states, full of white farmers who voted for Trump, their bankruptcy rate shot up. Government handed out billions in bailout money, but much of it went to large corporate farms, not small family farms. And these are the people who voted for Trump. Some farmers openly have admitted that they thought this stuff only happened to black farmers. They admitted that they thought sufferings for black people only. When you go to the healthcare system, Trump promised better healthcare at a lower cost. Instead, he worked to dismantle the Affordable Care Act without without replacements. That left millions at risk of losing coverage, especially in rural towns where hospitals depend on this Medicaid. He removed it. He did not replace it. Dozens of rural hospitals mostly are serving white communities. Some have even shut their doors down. Emergency care became hours away, and this was the same health care desert black rural towns has faced for decades. He talked about bringing jobs to Americans. It's true, some jobs were returned temporarily, but most were low-paying and unstable. Manufacturing continued to automate. Coal mining continued to decline, and small-town economies kept shrinking. So the things that black people are facing, white people faced it too. He promised, but he never, or he has not fulfilled. They are seeing something tofauti, something different. Now black struggles is becoming white struggles. For generations, black Americans have lived with job disappearing for every now and then, hospitals closing in the black neighborhoods, poor schools and underfunded programs, politicians making promises they never keep, police harassment, and for generations, white America looked the other way. They looked the other way around. They never helped. And now white America are facing the same problems. Small town factories are shutting down. Rural hospitals are disappearing. Schools are losing funding. Police forces treating poverty as a crime. Politicians making promises they never. It's just the same thing. The same thing that black people went through. And that's why I said, God of black people is answering black players or black prayers through DJT. When we go to the issue of farmers, for example, in 2016, a farmer in Lower, his name was Mark, stood in front of his barn wearing a MAGA hat, telling reporters he believed Trump will protect farmers. His family had farmed the same land for 4 generations. When Trump trade war with China beat, soybean prices dropped. China was their biggest buyer and it dropped gone overnight. And Mark took out loans to survive the season, expecting the market to bounce back, but it does not bounce back. In 2019, he filed bankruptcy. When interviewed, his voice broke. He said, "I thought this stuff they said about black farmers losing their land was about bad management or laziness, but now I know it is policy. The policies that Trump is keeping there, it is punishing the white people too. It's punishing them too." I say this, for centuries, black people have prayed for justice. They have marched for justice. We have prayed for the truth to come out. We have prayed for the shift in the hearts and the minds of those who refuse to see our pain. Sometimes we expect that answer to come through kindness, through unity, through peaceful awakening, but sometimes God answers in a way that shakes the very foundation of pride and arrogance. Remember the story of Pharaoh in the Bible. Pharaoh's heart was hardened. He ignored the cries of the oppression, of the oppressed. And God didn't change Pharaoh's heart with sweet words. He brought plagues to his own house. Only when Pharaoh's own family was touched, when he was touched with the plague, that's when he released Israelites. And that's what we are seeing now. The same America that told us stop complaining is now complaining. The same America that told us work harder, they are now struggling to survive. They are working harder. This isn't just about revenge. This is about revelation. Sometimes God will not remove the pain from the oppressed until the oppressor has tested it too. And that's what is happening. God has not removed the pain from black people until white people have tested this too. And that's why it's happening. And the shift is coming and black people are going to the power. America must learn the lesson. You cannot create a system that grinds down black people and think it will never turn on you. That's what we need to know. Now, I'll say this. The Trump presidency has revealed something powerful. The problems black Americans have been shouting about for decades. Now we are seeing it. Now white people are shouting it too. This is our moment to build bridges as black people, to tell white America, now you understand, let's fix this together. It's time of unity. It's not about revenge. Okay, tell me what you think on this on the comment section. Until next episode, peace out.